I have a question for you now. Is the United Nations dead? Here's why I ask this. After US President Donald Trump said that the US will take over Gaza, UN Chief António Guterres warned against what he described as the ethnic cleansing in Gaza.
Its essence, the exercise of the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people, is about the right of Palestinians to simply live as human beings in their own land. It is vital to stay true to the bedrock of international law. It is essential to avoid any form of ethnic cleansing.
Guterres said that nothing justified the October 7, 2023 Hamas attack on Israel that sparked the war in Gaza. But destruction and unspeakable horrors that come from Israeli attacks could not be justified either. Then, reacting to Trump's Gaza proposal, UN spokesperson Stéphane Dujarric said, and I quote him here, "Any forced displacement of people is tantamount to ethnic cleansing. It is important that we stay true to the bedrock of international law. It is essential to avoid any form of ethnic cleansing." After the global outcry on Wednesday, Trump administration officials tried to walk back on Trump's proposal. They said that any displacement of the Palestinians in Gaza would be short-lived. It would perhaps be temporary while the largely destroyed enclave is being rebuilt. But it raises this very pertinent question: how did we get here? After 15 months of death and devastation in Gaza, just as Gazans started returning home to rubble and debris, the American president discusses taking control of the Palestinian territory and also displacing its people. Wasn't the 15 months of absolute hell enough? Must the war-torn and already displaced Palestinians endure this now as well? The question is also directed at the United Nations. What has the UN achieved in Gaza? For 15 months and well before Trump took charge of the White House, the UN has failed to bring peace. The United Nations has been gradually losing its power and credibility to stop wars. There are few chapters in UN history that have been darker than the bloodiest Gaza war of the 21st century. As the war unfolded in both Gaza and also in Ukraine, the UN's inability to halt the fighting has raised serious questions. Is it even effective anymore in preventing wars and also promoting peace? And let's not forget, while the war in Gaza was armed, funded and shielded from accountability by Western states led by the US, the UN cut a sorry figure. The West's hypocrisy became even more evident when it imposed the most severe sanctions on Russia for sending troops to Ukraine while allowing America to send weapons to Israel, which were used in Gaza. This whole situation is a mockery of the West's claim that it cares about human rights. In fact, the US's support for Israel and Israel's violations of international law, including its outrageous attack on the Iranian embassy in Damascus in April last year, also raises questions about the role of the United Nations. And it's not as if the UN does not have a stake in Gaza. Close to 200 of its staff have been killed in the war. And this is why we ask, was the UN established to be a strong voice and make a real difference, or was it meant to do the bidding of the US? Even as we speak right now, the war in Ukraine is still ongoing. The UN has called it one of the most profound humanitarian crises of our time. That's what the United Nations has said. It has called for an immediate humanitarian pause. But so far, the UN has been toothless in ending the war, and that's where we are now, with more questions than answers about the relevance of the United Nations.